Hey everybody, welcome back to another deck profile Friday. Pretty stoked about this one here as I haven't really been too interested in the standard Pokemon formats for actually quite some time, right? As it's just a lot of the same decks, and basically I just haven't had any desire to play with any of the current Pokemon that's been out there. Like Charizard, boring. Regidrago, boring. Raging Bolt, boring. Gardevoir, boring. Right? Lugia, boring. Right? All these decks, right? It's just been boring to me, and unfortunately, Miraidon just hasn't really been performing as of late. We've had a series of bad luck in our games. Or I'm rarely hitting generators now, and it's just basically causing me to cast a bad reflection of the deck in my mind, right? And so I needed a new deck, and I'm actually thrilled to show this because I had a couple games with it at League last night, and I actually really enjoyed the way that it plays. I think it trades decently well. It doesn't one shot, but then again, it definitely will tank. Right, it'll take hits. It's actually pretty durable, and then with the secret tech, which obviously is not going to be secret. Once I show, show you guys the cards. It can actually do one-hit KOs, and it's pretty cool. And I'm pretty stoked about it. It's fast too. It's pretty consistent, right? And I'm just excited to show it off. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So the deck that I'm talking about just came out in Surging Sparks, right? One of the best Scarlet and Violet sets. And obviously there's a few good Pokemon in there, right? Like Ceruledge, like Pikachu, like Hydreigon. I'm sure you know by now the one that I left out, and that one is Archaludon here, right? The metal guy, the evolved form of Duraludon, and I'm pretty stoked. I love this thing. I think it's so much fun. And you basically just set up turn 2 and then just metal defender, right? Turn after turn after turn, and just do 220, 220, 220, 220. And you basically just try to take cheap, easy prizes, right? Because right now the big thing with the other decks is they're playing a lot of bench liabilities, and this year thrives on bench liabilities, right? So I think it's super important to obviously make the deck so you can take advantage of that, and that's what this is. So without further ado, let's get into the list here. We've got 3 Archaludon, and then 4 Duraludon. Right, that's the main dude. We'll get into that in a second. Other Pokemon, we got a Revavroom EX with 2 Revavroom here, the Scarlet and Violet base, as well as 2 Varoom. And then lastly, we got a Radiant Greninja and a Relicanth, which is now in the picture. So pretty simple. All right, we'll go into the descriptions of each. So Archaludon there, 300 HP, 2 retreat, resistance to grass, weakness to fire. Right, its ability there, right? So this thing is absolutely amazing. Assemble Alloy, right? When it's played from your hands, to evolve, your Pokemon. You can attach up to 2 metal energy from your discard pile to any of your metal Pokemon. Basically in any way you like. And so usually you do it to itself, right? Self-generating, which is awesome. And it can be powered up in one turn with an energy attachment, right? And then it's attack there. Metal Defender 220. During your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon has no weakness. And that is actually pretty huge, right? You know, there's quite a bit of fire types. You know, there's that Gouging Fire, right? Radiant Charizard. Obviously the, the pre-evolutions from the Charizard deck. Some are still playing Entei V, right? Etc., right? And so giving it no weakness on obviously the Ceruledge, right? That's another big factor. Giving it no weakness is absolutely huge. So, and then we got the Duraludon here. This is one of the better, probably the best one, right? 130 HP, so it is a bulky basic, right? And that's really good compared to like the little 60 or 70 HP Charmanders. This thing's at 130 hit points, right? So this is gonna take a hit for sure from small stuff. It'll survive like a Cramorant attack, you know, if somebody's playing Lost Box, right? Or, you know, just kind of stupid stuff, like it survives Iron Hands, right? Amp you very much, right? Just stupid stuff like that. It'll survive, right? It'll survive with 10 HP. Yeah, it's got 2 retreat as well, resistance to grass and weakness to fire. Obviously, hammer in there, 30 damage for 1. And then its second attack there, which is incredibly useful, and this is why we have the Relicanth in here, right? So the Relicanth, I'm not going to talk about its stats. The whole purpose of that is to allow Archaludon to use Duraludon's Raging Hammer, which is 80 damage, plus 10 more damage for each damage counter on it. And because it's got such high HP, right? Meaning if it survives a hit, which you try to do, you can hit back, you know, for that damage plus 80 toward their active, which is absolutely huge, right? Somebody hits you for, like, let's say 220, right? You just, I'm just gonna, use Raging Hammer and hit you back for 280. Pardon me, for 300. 300, it's 80, but not 60. I'm gonna hit you back for 300. Like, that's that's crazy how that works, right? Charizard, right? So, I think it's actually got 330, but but anyway, you kind of see what I'm getting at, right? And it just makes knocking out Pokemon like a lot easier, which is actually really good. So Revavroom there. So the Varoom, this is the better one. This is the Shrouded Fable one. Not going to go into too much there. Revavroom, so the purpose of this guy, obviously to draw us cards, right? It gets us metal energy in the discard, which means we can suck them up with that Assemble Alloy. And then the EX, which is a nice little tech. For that Accelerator Flash, it does 20 damage, and then if it moves from the bench to the active, it does 120 more. Well, that's capable of knocking out Lugia V-Star for 1 energy because of the weakness, right? Because it is a lightning type, even though it has metal energy attacks, right? It's just a Terra. So, really good. And then, obviously, Radiant Greninja is there to draw us cards, right? The faster we can get that energy in the discard pile, the better off we will be. And that is the Pokemon line. Really simple, right? It's pretty straightforward. Not really a whole lot of basics. We only got like 8 basics, 4 Duraludon, 2 Varoom, 1 Greninja, and 1 Relicanth. We got 8 basics. There's only 14 Pokemon, 7 and 7. Yeah, 14 Pokemon. So pretty basic list. trainers, supporters, and stadiums, right? So this is basically the nuts and bolts here, right? This is basically, you know, how we built the deck, right? What's the object of the deck? The object is to take nice, cheap, and easy prizes, right? So to do that, we kind of want to be a little bit aggressive, right, with our supporters, right? One of the most aggressive ones is the 4 research, right? This is especially good turn 1, so we can get that metal energy into the discard, so we can actually assemble alloy. So that's a really good one. Also a great card after getting, you know, Iono'd. Triple boss, right? So 3 boss, you know, get that Gus card, right? It's great at knocking out little things like, you know, basic Vs, right? Or the most popular one, Teal Mask Ogrepon EX, right? The grass one, right? We want to be able to knock those out. Just knock them straight out. Next, some more draw, shuffle draw. Double Iono, right? This deck can go behind, right? Which is kind of understandable. You know, if you don't get that that energy or second energy or whatever, right? Or if you're missing a fitting. So Iono is really good. Hence, the reason why we have Judge in here too. Judge is basically the same reason Iono, pardon me. It's another really good card to have. Then our last supporter, right, we got Professor Turo Scenario. So the thing with this card is basically I'm trying to figure out, you know, what's the ideal amount? You know, do we just play 1 or do we go up to 4? Right? And the big question is how durable is Archaludon, right? Can it actually take a hit, or is it just going to get one-shotted? Right? That's a huge question. And I think, you know, before, you know, you start adding in copies of that, you need to answer that question. You need to figure out kind of how the matchups are like against the top decks and what's the likelihood of getting one-shotted. So stadiums, 2 Artazon. Just be consistent, get our stuff out, right? It's not enough just to have Nest Ball and Ultra Ball. And then Full Metal Lab here, 30 less damage to metals. So a little bit more tankier, right? Which is really, really good. And that is it for the stadiums and supporters. Trainer cards, right? Really easy, right? Consistency, consistency, consistency. We got 4 Nest Ball, search for a basic, put it onto your bench, right? The generic search card, great card to have. Quick Ball would have been better, you know, that's a card from previous formats. It would have been way better than this right now, but still, this is pretty good. 4 Night Stretcher, so this here is an amazing card, right? Allows us to be a little bit more aggressive early game, especially since we can discard some valuable pieces, right? Or if we need to chain Duraludons, Archaludons, right? We can do that. Makes sense. Other trainers, we got 4 Ultra Ball, probably, you know, the best discarder in the deck, right? Discard 2 to draw, you know, search your deck for a specific card, right? So that's really good. Another discarding card is Earthen Vessel. We got 3 of these. Discard a card from your hand, which is an energy usually. Get 2 energies. Triple Pokemon Catcher, right? Like I said, you know, we got triple boss, triple catcher. We want to be aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. So that's why we have that. We got a counter catcher, right? Great after an Iono and a knockout, right? It's really, really good. Palpad, put our supporters back in. Makes sense. And then lastly, our A-spec of choice. I think this is probably the best one for the deck because it allows us to get those easy KOs. We have a Prime Catcher, and there's actually a few supplied, pardon me, I guess A-specs, right, that you know, you could put in, right, you know, a few of them that you can, you know, do your walks, right, and yeah, pretty cool. So, and that is it for the trainers, supporters, and stadiums. Just nice and consistent, nice and consistent, nice and consistent. That's how we built the deck. That's how we want to play the deck, right? And then lastly, we got our energies, 10 metal, right? That is it. So it can be kind of a pain in the ass to get the metals, but we do have a lot of search for it, right? So the chances of us not getting a medal is pretty low. But that is it, everybody. That is the deck. That is Archaludon, and that is something that I'll be continuing to playtest. You know, week after week after week. It's been a lot of fun, and I've really enjoyed playing it. Give it a try. Let me know what you think, and yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Hope everybody is safe, and I will see you in the next video.